All right. Yeah. All right, so ladies, you can come up. Tell me if you don't see your presentation in there. Might have to double click on it. There you go. And then hold on 1 second while I get my stuff set back here. Hold on just 1 minute. People at home said they were having trouble seeing the slides, so I might need to go and represent the screen. Let me just try representing them. It looks like some people can see them, but I'm not here. Okay, it looks like it is working now. Let me just grab. All right, ladies, you may go ahead and begin.
Okay, so our animal was the common starfish. Okay, so first off is the classification. Its kingdom is Animalia. Some characteristics of that are that it's multicellular, meaning that it's composed of many cells. It's heterotrophic, meaning that it cannot make its own food. It has no cell walls. It can reproduce sexually, and it's capable of movement at some point. Its phylum is Echinodermata. Some characteristics of that are that it has a star-like appearance. They are exclusively marine animals, meaning that they're only found in water. It can regenerate arms and organs, meaning that if there's any kind of trauma to the body, it can grow body parts back. They have an unsegmented body, so they don't have a distinct head or anything like that. And they are spiny skinned, which echinoderm is actually the Greek word for spiny skin, so kind of fits. Its genus is Asterius. Some characteristics of that are that there are about 150 different species of Asterius all over the world. The average size is from 10 to 20 centimeters. They're generally solitary, meaning that they live on their own, but under certain circumstances, such as to avoid direct sunlight or to avoid excessive drying, they will gather in groups for protection. They are generally nocturnal, meaning that they quiet in the day and active at night. They're generally carnivores, meaning that they eat things such as clams, mollusks, and oysters. Their colors can range from shades of yellow, orange, brown, and purple, and they're able to reproduce sexually or asexually. And then last, this species is Rubens. So some characteristics of that are that they settle in the North Atlantic. Colors range from red, purple, and orange. They can move at 30 centimeters per minute or 60 feet per hour. They're also known as the common starfish, and they're able to live for 35 years.
Habitat. Sea stars live in almost every type of aquatic habitat, including seagrass, kelp beds, rocky shores, and tidal pools, mud, and sand. Some starfish can be found in sand as deep as 20,530 feet or 9,000 meters. Starfish aren't commonly found around each other, but will gather with other starfish during certain times of the year to feed.
So what starfish tend to eat are things like mollusks, and mollusks are like clams, oysters, and mussels. We already went over that. They're heterotrophs. Their predators are like sea turtles, birds, otters, and other starfish, and those can like kind of like engulf the starfish. But then like smaller ones like shrimp and crabs and snails have to flip the starfish over and eat on like the gummier, like softer side. They're secondary consumers. And the way they consume is for, say, if we're talking about an oyster, how the shell is, they pry the shell open with like their tube feet, which are like the little stuff in the inside of here. And they're kind of like little, like, I don't know, like arms per se to grab it. And they, through their mouth, they take out their stomach and they put their stomach inside almost and envelop the like clam or oyster. And they put like a poison that helps engulf it.
Okay, so I did the nervous and muscular systems. So first is the nerve ring, which is right here, this little ring in the middle. It's located around its mouth, and it relays sensory information and motor signals throughout the body. And it's connected to the radial nerve, which is this little line here that goes along each arm. That collects sensory information, saves memories in the nerves, and makes decisions about what to do. The next thing is the eye spots, which are located at the end of each arm. They aren't able to like see like images, but they're able to detect light and dark, so that helps them. And then next is another thing about the nervous system is that they're able to be sensitive to things like touch, temperature, status of the water, and smell. So then the muscular system involves the endoskeletal plates, which are these things. That's actually the piece of the skin. So it's located right underneath the skin, and it provides rigidity and protection. Next is the ambula, which is inside each arm. Can't really see it on this picture, but they're like these little bubbles. And what they do is they guide the podia in the 2 feet. And how they do that is muscles inside the arm squeeze the ambula, which are full of water, and the water goes into the podium and extends them, allowing the starfish to grab onto things like a suction cup, move the starfish along, and then, like she said, capture prey. So yeah, these are the podium or podia, if you're plural, but yeah, they're right underneath the arms. And,
Okay, the reproductive system. Both male and female sea stars hold their sperm and eggs in pouches at the base of their arms. They reproduce by free spawning. That means the male and female release their eggs and sperm at the same time. The egg and sperm float until they meet up, and the sperm is able to fertilize the egg. And like we said, they can reproduce sexually or asexually.
So with the circulatory system, what I was learning is that they actually don't like have blood going through like their bodies. It's actually a water vascular system, and they're operating through hydraulic pressure. And so pretty much with the 2 feet, they're like drawing in, like with other things, they're drawing in the water and trying to bring them into the canals. And it's very like similar in the area of where like the nervous system was. And they bring it in through these stone canals, and they put it into like this kind of like a bad picture, but underneath kind of what you saw earlier, they bring it into that circular ring, and then they distribute it throughout the entire body.
And that's it.
All right, who wants to go next? All right, going up. What animal were you guys doing? Squid.
Yeah, but like my knee shakes like I got a fish shape. You guys did really good.
All right, audience, make sure you fill in some notes on the starfish. You can label your next box the squid so that you're ready for this one.
Parker's here, right?
Yep.
Alright.
Easier. Hang on just 1 second so I can get my things arranged. All right. Go ahead.
Alright, so we did the squid.
It's part of the Animalia kingdom, which are multicellular, eukaryotic, and they're without chlorophyll. The cells have no cell walls. The central vacuoles are absent, and most of them are free moving. The phylum is Mollusca, and it is the second largest phylum of invertebrate animals, mostly found in marine freshwater. They exhibit organ system level of organization. The body is covered in a calcareous shell. Scientific name for it is Chupita, and they are cephalopods.
Alright, so I did the habitat. As you see, they're in tropical waters, like warmer waters, not cold waters. And they're usually camped out on the bottom of the ocean and sandy and muddy ocean floors, like right here. And then 10 to 500 meters deep, depends on what they're doing. So if they're like eating or like looking for food, they're not going to be on the very, very bottom of the floor. Instead, and they'll be like, and they're like 500 meters down, they'll be like sleeping or just chilling and doing whatever. And then never cold waters, like I said earlier. Like, you're not gonna find any squids in the Antarctic Ocean, except for like there's like one species there called like the Antarctic flying squid, but that doesn't really pertain to us. And then find them in pretty much every other ocean except for that one.
Its prey is crab, shrimp, oysters, and fish. Its predators are whales, sharks, and squids. Because squids are cannibals and they will eat other squids if they get hungry enough. The squid is a heterotroph because it doesn't make its own food, and its trophic level is a secondary consumer. Next slide. The food is broken down into radula. That's like near its mouth, and it's like its teeth. It uses it to break down like the food into smaller pieces. Then the food goes down in the liver and the nutrients are taken out. It gets held in the cecum, and then after it's held in the cecum, it travels through the intestine and is exited as waste. Next slide.
Alright, I did the cardiovascular and respiratory system. So right here, yep, this is the gills, and that's where the oxygen is used. So then the squid also has 3 hearts, 2 brachial hearts, and 1 systemic head or heart. So then the heart or the blood comes to the gills, and then the gills use the oxygen to have it breathe, and then and then the blood is used from the brachial hearts to the systemic heart, and the systemic heart has 3 parts, has 2 upper atria and 1 lower ventricle. The heart is in here, but in our decks actually kind of messed it up, so I didn't really get a good picture of it. But then the atria contract to send blood to the rest of the body, and then pump to the lungs.
I did the nervous muscular system. The eyes are on each side of its head, and they are huge, built with headlights, and making it well equipped for the darker parts of the ocean. They have giant axons of the squid, which is the largest known nerve cell in the animal kingdom. Animalia. It's part of the propulsion system and runs from the ganglia to the muscles. Each arm is a different length and is used to hold its prey. It also has 2 tentacles used to first grab the prey, with suction cups on it. And the ganglion is On the posterior wall of the squid's muscular mantle, activation of this synapse triggers the synchronous contraction of the mantle musculature. It makes it move rapidly through the ocean. You can help it break the surface of the water if it needs to escape prey.
There's a diagram of the inside of the squid and the outside of the squid. And there's the sources.
Okay, who's up next?
Okay.
All right, what was your animal?
No, lamprey. Lamprey.
This one. All right, come on
Don't
up.
hold the same. You go on that side. It's a good side. You go on the same side, you realize that. No, you
Everyone
go on
else
that
in the
side.
audience, make sure you fill
Will's on this side
out
with me.
your notes from that
Mentally.
last presentation. If you didn't finish them up, you
See,
can fill your next box with the lamprey.
lamprey.
And then guys, just hang on one sec while I get my stuff organized.
Nice.
All right, Will, you want to say hi just so we can hear you?
No, not working?
Oh, now it is. Now I can hear you.
Alright.
Okay. All right, go ahead, guys.
Our project is on lamprey. I'm Tyler.
I'm Carter.
I'm gonna need Will.
Go.
Alright, so I started first. I did the classification slide. Our animal, lamprey, is classified as a fish. So the kingdom is Animalia. The phylum is a Chordata. The genus is a Petromonocyte, I believe that's what you say. So about the Animalias is they're multicellular, and humans are also part of the Animalia kingdom. The chordatas have a notochord, a dorsal umbilical cord, and gill slits, and they also have a post-anal tail. They have all had these during their lifetime. It doesn't mean they need to have them all the time. And then the petromonocyte is without jaws, has scales, and a single nostril with a pair of 7 gills. And then the pictures on the bottom are just images.
I didn't have that. It lives in coastal and freshwaters around the world, but I believe it does not live in Africa at all. No reason. It prefers deep areas. It can tolerate temperatures from 1 to 20 degrees Celsius, and will feed on any fish with blood.
Other predator and prey. Its only natural predator is humans. Prey, they'll pretty much eat any fish, or take the blood of any fish, so like rainbow trout, brown trout, walleye, catfish, fish like that. Secondary consumer, also a heterotroph. How they get their food is they attach to the side of the fish, right there, and use their tongue to pierce through the scales and suck its blood for usually about 4 days, and then they'll just let it go.
The nervous and muscular system. So number one is the brain. So the brain is actually not that black dot you see. It's kind of just like a smaller area right to the right of it. Number two is the muscle blocks. The muscle blocks help the fish swim. It can be on the back, and there's also some near the tail. And number three is the nerve cord. It is actually right above the notochord, which it can dissolve, but I believe it's the fine line right there. And the notochord, which is number four, is right below it. Can't really see in the picture, but it's a line for open the fish. And then number five is the linguilla muscle, which is also just another muscle to help the lamprey move around and swim.
There's not too much to say about its respiratory and circular system, but its gill slits here, they're very hard to see because they're just small little dots in its skin that help it breathe. respiratory tube is used to suck the blood out of the animal it's on. I didn't think that would be part of the respiratory, but it is. Obviously, there's not much to say. It's got a heart. The arrow there, we couldn't actually find the heart, but I kind of put the arrow where we thought the heart would be. The veins are very hard to see.
Alright, digestive system. Using intestine and spinal cord, right going along right here, most of the middle quarters. And that's also with the phyllo, which is an internal fold that in the intestine that kind of helps absorb nutrients and does that more efficiently. Got the esophagus. I think it's that little line right there. It's really hard to find stuff since everything is like the same color. But then we got on this side, the horny teeth is all the orange little dots there. And they're the parts that help grab onto the fish and kind of lock it in there. And then the tongue is what Carter was also talking about, that actually pierces the scales and gets the blood.
And that's our sources.
All right, just a couple more presentations today. So make sure you filled in your note box about the lamprey. And last two groups, who wants to go? You guys want to go? Okay. And then you guys do next.
Here, I'll stay.
Okay, which one did you guys have?
The snake.
Okay, so wait just 1 minute so I can get set up. Leah, you want to say hello? Hi. Okay, perfect. All right, so audience, you can label your next box for the snake. Take it away, folks.
Oh, okay. We decided to dissect the snake. My name's Ellie.
I'm Brady.
And
I'm
Leah's.
Leah. The snake we dissected was a common garter snake, or Thanopus sertalis, if we use the scientific name. The snake is of the genus Sertalis. Its main characteristics are its slim body, its deep brown or black color, and its bright yellowish stripes on its body. It's in the animal kingdom, which means it's eukaryotic and unicellular. Snakes are reptiles. It belongs to the phylum Chordata, meaning it has to have a brain, a post-anal tail, and a notochord, which is kind of like a spine, and segmented muscle bands. Next. This is the snake's reproductive system. They have kidneys in both male and female snakes, and the kidney produces hormones and vitamins that assist in reproduction. In a male, the testes are where the sperm are created. The cloaca then receives the sperm until it is transferred to the hemipenis, which transfers the sperm to the female. The female receives the sperm in her cloaca. The sperm then will travel to the ovary, where the eggs are created and stored. Once they're mature, the egg cells can travel to the oviduct, which fertilizes the eggs, coats the eggs in nutrients, and then gives it a shell. You can kind of see it in the middle bottom picture. You'll notice how oddly the organs are stacked. This is because of the snake's long body. The organs appear for each other because they want to try to fit in the body, which is just so thin. Along with this adaptation, snakes also have to increase their body temperatures to be able to do most functions essential to life, such as digesting food or maintaining circulation, stuff like that. Female snakes also have to stay warm to incubate the developing embryos. Next.
That's your sources. I did predator and prey. Snakes eat mostly like worms and like small bugs that they can swallow. They eat like larvae, eggs of like fish and stuff, and like beetles. And they have a lot of predators like birds, like crows, eagles, hawks, and like a lot of cranes and other bigger snakes because they're carnivores. Now the digestive system this is a large intestine like over in this area. It digests. It absorbs water and salt from the food, and then the pancreas uses enzymes to break down the foods and help digest. And this right here is like the spine and like the muscles that help like swallow the food whole. And then this is the small intestine and the stomach right in here. And the stomach makes enzymes to digest the food, and the small intestine breaks down foods and absorbs nutrients. That's my source.
So I was chosen to talk about the habitat. These types of snakes are indigenous to North America, but they can be found spread across the entire world. The environment that they're normally found in are grassy but very moist environments, and they can be found along some water places like ponds and rivers and lakes. The terrain, they're mostly in grasslands and woodlands that are right next to bodies of water, and they are a lot in the arid west. The climate, these types of snakes are very adaptable, and they can survive extreme environment like variations. The food sources, they eat small organisms like mice and bugs and some insects. And the shelter, they are unlike other organisms. They utilize the old dens and burrows from other like organisms that have left and cracks in the soil to protect themselves. So I'm also talking about the nervous and muscle system. The muscle system allows movement. It controls your heartbeat, breathing, and digestion. The nervous system is what controls brain growth and development. Here are some internal and external organs that make up the muscle and nervous system. The eyes, the mouth, the brain, the spine, and many more. Now I'm going to talk about how these organs improve fitness in the environment. The eyes must be very fast and precise to catch prey. The brain it contains how they respond to the environment and the variations that they're put against. The mouth is very important because this is how they attack prey, and it needs to be very swift, and that's how they attack it. And the spine, it must be very flexible, but also mobile, so it can attack prey swiftly but easily. And here are my sources.
Thank you. All right, you guys are up. Just skip over that slide and I'll talk to him later and figure something else. All right, so audience, finish up your notes on the snake. Take a few things in there. And we have one more group. I'm going to tell you about some sharks.
Alright, so we did the dogfish shark. I'm Jay.
I'm Adam.
That's good.
Jack had this slide, so. Alright. Dogfish shark are mainly found in the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. And while they can be found all around the world, they stick to mostly temperate and subarctic areas, as you can see on the map here. And they normally stay near the floor of the ocean, which is mostly sand and rock with little vegetation. And during the summer, dogfish sharks are found more to the north and south of the world, and they move towards the equator during the winter.
Alright, predator and prey. It's prey and food. Smaller dogfish tend to feed on crustaceans. And larger dogfish like to eat jellyfish, squid, and schooling fish. They're mainly bottom feeders, and you'll catch them around like 40 to 60 meters deep. And it captures its prey by using its sharp teeth and has a really strong jaw. It is a tertiary consumer and classified as a heterotroph. And its predators are just larger sharks, seals, and orcas. So, the digestive system, the mouth breaks down the food and then uses saliva to make the food softer and easier to digest. The liver makes a digestive juice called bile, and then bile breaks down the fats in food. And then stomach is used like a container for the food, and it gets broken down by the stomach's enzymes and strong acids.
That was Jack's slide as well. And then a dogfish shark can smell almost a third of a mile with its nose. And they have also developed eyes that help them see further and more clearly underwater. And the caudal or rear fin of the shark is the main fin that helps it move easily throughout the water. That's it.
Okay. Finish up the last box on your notes there and keep that document open. We're going to be doing the reflection piece here in just 1 minute. All right, so before we get to the final kind of wrap up and reflection from these projects, I want to say a few things just about the end of the trimester and the end of biology and grades and all of that stuff. First of all, thank you for sticking through another crazy trimester. I know with the switches of learning models and everything, it's been rocky for everybody. So thanks for pushing through. Thanks for working hard and communicating with your teachers and letting us know how things are going and getting to the finish line because we're there. I am really glad we got to come back in person, at least for the last part, so that we could do the dissections. It would have been real sad if we missed that part of biology, so I'm glad we came back. But I know it's been kind of rough all the way through. So, good work. In terms of your grade, those of you that presented today, I will be finishing up your presentation grades and putting them into student view as soon as I have a chance today. So those will be in by this afternoon. After that, the only things I have left to grade are this note document that you're about to turn in, which I will probably grade tomorrow, and any late work that you've turned in. If you have late work that you've turned in the last few days that's already turned in, I'm going to try and grade that this afternoon also, so that by tonight, student view should be up to date with any late work that you've turned in. The only thing that might not be in there yet is this thing that you're about to turn in. So take a look at student view this evening. If there's still things that you are missing, tonight is your last chance to turn in any missing work. I have to work tomorrow. I have a grading day. And so if you turn things in tonight, I will check once more and I can grade any late work that you turn in tomorrow. But I am going to be finalizing your grades by tomorrow. Not all of your classes will necessarily have their grades done by tomorrow, just so you know, grades are due like next Tuesday. But for this class, there's not very much left. I'm going to finish up and finalize grades by the middle of the day tomorrow. So if you have any last minute stuff, get it done tonight. The only other thing I wanted to say about grades, please realize the computer system already automatically rounds your grades if you're within 0.5% of a cutoff. So what I mean by that, like the cutoff for an A minus is officially exactly 90%. If you have an 89.5, the computer will round you up and give you an A minus. And the reason that I mentioned that is because the computer already rounds by 0.5%, I do not bump grades. And that's a policy amongst all of the biology teachers. And so I just want to mention that because there's usually at least one person who emails me and is like, I was at 89.4, can I please have an A minus? And the answer is no. Unfortunately, somebody, no matter where we draw the line, someone is always going to be sitting right on that line. The computer already rounds grades, so we do not, okay? So just so you're aware, you are welcome to email me and ask why you got the grade you did or whatever. You can ask me questions about your grade, but please don't send me emails just asking to bump your grade because that's just something that we don't do, okay? So I just want that to be out there before I start putting in final grades and all of that. The other thing is if you look in student view, especially if you look tonight and you notice things that say missing that you're pretty sure you turned in, definitely send me an email right away and let me know that so that I can double check and make sure everything is correct before I submit those final grades tomorrow. Any questions just about grading process or anything like that? Okay. Then the last assignment you have to finish up and turn in is this note sheet you've been working on. To wrap up this project, at the beginning of the presentations, you made some predictions, you took some guesses about how these organisms were related to each other. And now you've heard all the presentations, you've highlighted where on that big cladogram of all the animals they fall, and you've noted some of the characteristics. So in the very last box on this sheet, look back at your notes, look at the groups you highlighted. You might even have to scroll all the way up to the top and look at that cladogram to see where those groups are. But use what you learned in here to answer these 3 questions. These are what you need to type in that box that just says reflection at the end. Explain which of the animals that you learned about were the most closely related. It could be 2 or 3 that are all really close. They're within the same group or they're groups that are very closely related. Make sure you explain why. These are not one-word answers. Which animal is the least related to the others? And again, explain why. And then the last one is which animal did you find the most unique or interesting and why? It could be yours. It could be a different one that you heard about in the presentations. Once you have written good answers to those 3 questions, then you can turn this document in on yesterday's post on Classroom. You can also, today's post just kind of summarizes what we were doing in class. So unless you want to leave that there as a reminder to check your missing work, you can mark today's post as finished as well. There's no additional work to turn in for that. If you have any questions, people at home, if you have any questions, you can stick around and ask me questions. Otherwise, stay long enough that you see, like if you sign off right now, you might not remember what those reflection questions are. But as soon as you have finished that reflection and turned in that document, you are free to go. I hope you have a great rest of the day and rest of the school year. It is actually. I know that seems weird.
Yeah, but then I looked it up, it was like the oysters, clam.
Which is what we normally think of as mollusks, but squid and octopus are in that same group.
Oh.
And I forget what the defining characteristics of those are, but
Yeah, I thought it was
it might be something like developmentally, like within younger, maybe they're more similar, or maybe with like oysters or younger. You know, like sometimes it's early in development that they're similar, but that's right, they are.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I know, that one seems weird, because they're not shell, over bigger. But, yep.